Hello followers, Vidith22 here. If you have a scary story you'd like to feature on the channel, send it in at vidith22stories@gmail.com. Link in description. Now, on to the video. I was never much of a conspiracy theorist. I was in stuff like the Flat Earth movement, but that was only for the joke. Obviously the government's engaged in very shady businesses, but they're not paving the way for aliens to invade the Earth or something like that. They're just old, rich men trying to get even richer. However, now, I can somewhat understand how they feel. 2 days ago, the governments broke the news. A huge asteroid was coming for our planet. I think it was the size of Texas. I received plenty of names, but one that stuck out was Hades. Hades was going to destroy humanity, and we had no hope to changing that. It was too big to be destroyed, and at best, its debris could just strike the planet shotgun style. My memory is hazy, but people refused to accept the news at first. A lot of them went on to live their lives and try to act as if nothing was going to happen. It took the end of the first day until people acted up, with riots flaring up over the world. I think they wanted to force the government to build spaceships or super bunkers or just wanted to loot stuff. I thought the police wouldn't do anything to prevent it, since they had no reason at this point. The policemen did step forward over the globe, though they used guns to do so. A lot of policemen kind of went crazy and used live ammo on rioters, when they weren't just beating them to death. The policemen were hardly the ones to go crazy, though. A lot of people with guns, be it some random rednecks or part of the army, decided to go ahead and gun down other people. Some just had urges to satisfy, some wanted to deliver their fellow man of the pain of annihilation. We heard of them a little, but they were quickly overshadowed by all the nuclear wars. A lot of countries decided to settle the score with their rivals. North Korea was the first. They used their nukes to attack South Korea and Japan. Then they were wiped out by China and the United States. China was a little slower on the draw afterwards, but Russia got revenge for them by nuking the US. France and the UK then went at it against Russia, and everyone tore themselves apart. I only barely survived it all, but the radiation was getting to me. So I just spent the last day just kind of waiting. I was expecting some kind of cruel twist, like the asteroid missing or something, but it showed up on schedule. The sky lit ablaze, and I witnessed Hades descent onto our world. The sheer sound of the impact shattered my eardrums, and my weakened body was effortlessly crumpled by the ensuing shockwave. I died. Then, I awoke, about 2 days earlier. For a moment I thought it was a daydream, but as time went on, I realized that I was in the past, more or less. However, Hades was not in the news. There was no mention of a big asteroid coming down to destroy us all, and life went on, in a distinctly unapocalyptic manner. For a moment, I thought it was a loop of some kind, but at the end of the second day, nothing happened. Hades was a no-show, and people were confused when I tried to kind of bring it up. Am I happy with the fact that we're all seemingly alive and well? Of course. I'm glad that we can live on. Our world's definitely not perfect, but it beats the utter nightmare that just happened. I could chalk up that whole Hades thing to a nightmare, but it felt so real. I want to move on and forget about it, but I still remember the sheer pain of the radiation, or the existential dread as I pondered about what would come after my inevitable death, or just dying in general. Maybe it's the afterlife. Maybe it's a loop. Whatever it is, I just can't stop thinking about it, no matter how hard I try. Does anyone else remember Hades? Was anyone else ever stuck in a similar situation? If something bad happens again, will we get looped back? I'm afraid of digging in too deep and discovering something that no man was meant to discover. At the dawn of the millennia, we had set our differences aside. The nations of the world had sat down with each other, setting aside petty disputes of land, reaching out towards the vast infinity of space. We colonized planet after planet, star system after star system. We expanded our reach over space, but could find no living organisms to match us. Sure, we found barely sentient species that were wiped out merely days after meeting us, but no species could come close to us. We had resigned to being the only sentient species in the galaxy. That was until one of the furthest outposts, a newly settled colony, reported something similar to a ship entering into the system and leaving just as soon. They shocked our entire population. Skeptics arose, screaming that it was just an asteroid. The military began talk of increasing the budget of the Navy. Religious fanatics started preaching the end of times. Oh, how I wish we had listened. 2 years after the initial shock of the discovery, life had returned to mostly normal. We kept trying in vain to find something again, when we lost contact with a military outpost. The Navy was dispatched, but when they arrived, the station was just a pile of rubble floating in space. The Council chalked it all up to a meteor hitting the station at intense speeds, and that was it. Then came the abductions. Our colonies began to lose hundreds, if not thousands of men and women daily, never to be seen again. People on the frontier worlds began to report strange shapes flying in the night sky. Suddenly, we were losing entire planets. A contact would suddenly cease, and nobody could be contacted on the planet. Families began to panic. The public demanded explanations. The Council could do nothing but build more ships and increase military presence in the outer worlds. The day we moved from state of emergency to state of war was the day we lost the war as well. The Grand Admiral himself was stationed near the Iron Rig in the industrial and military heartland. He had earned his position a few years prior during the Great Cult Rebellion and was leading the largest fleet in history. With more active servicemen than every military in history put together. And then it was gone. Half of our navy was gone in under a day. Our forge worlds were gone. Cloning bases were nuked from orbit and bombed to the Stone Age from the air. The system governors were all executed, and almost all of our planets were rendered uninhabitable. Our doctrine of war was no match for our enemies. We would strike at our enemy, crippling him and stopping, but our foe did not relent. We were willing to do anything for the war to stop, but they would not open communications. Every attempt was met with insults and curses. The Council began to panic. Cities began to riot. The religious demanded we embraced our new overlords. The military overthrew the Council, then the Council overthrew the military. The Federation was dismantled. People began to disregard the word of law. Outright anarchy spread over all the world. The Navy was scrambled to put up a defense of the homeworlds, to defend our mother planets. Old, outdated merchant vessels made up what was left of the fleet. Slowly, one by one, every system and planet fell to the advancing horde. They have reached our system now. This is the final stand. We have no chance of victory, but we must fight. The eternal foe must remember us even by the smallest scratch. We will not go quietly. I can hear their speakers above my trench, drowning over the sounds of our battle music and the general's orders. Citizens of the Kokotlu Federation, your end approaches. Pray to whatever false gods you believe in, that our warriors are merciful and swift in their judgment. The holy wars of Mother Terra have come to avenge our brothers and sisters who have fallen to your wicked weapon. Do not attempt to resist, as we will not relent. Your homelands will burn by righteous human fury, and your people will fall by our weapons. Our retribution is swift, and your punishment severe. Your attacks on Mother Terra will not go unanswered. They dare taunt us and threaten us, even at our deathbed. They truly are monsters. I must go, for I see their metal beasts approaching. Overlord, protect me in battle, and may he forever guide the blade of humanity's enemies.